Would you be able to tell me when this brand, you know, first started? Like, what was its first start?
So the brand launched in 2017. What started it was my boy John. He's the owner and founder, and my boy Alex. John has an affinity for basketball hoops, and you know, we all have basketball backgrounds. We all play high school, college, you know, leagues and stuff like that. But he had an affinity for the hoops, and it basically started with him taking pictures of hoops along his travels. It became a blog, and then as the blog grew, people started sending in pictures of hoops and stuff from their own countries, their own spaces, and it just became a thing. And it just kind of clicked to John that like basketball brings people together. You've literally created a niche community off just a hoop alone. No extra clips, no extra nobody dunking, just hoops, just literal. Just the aesthetic of the hoop, and that's where it started from there.
Would you consider yourself a designer in any way?
Visionary, but partial designer, because I've literally sat in a studio and hand sewn pieces onto garments, and like, you know, like I do a lot of like, even though like that's like the trend now, but like I picked up the habits of upcycling during quarantine, inspired by other creatives. Like my boy Phil Lasea, he does a lot of his own like upcycling work, defective garments, they do that, and I'm just trying to find my own lane within that space without like, you know, overshadowing what they're doing, or, you know, look like I'm just straight biting off somebody. Like, I don't really plan on starting my own line or nothing in that sense, but I do have like creative ideas that I want to do like for my projects.
Okay, so upcycling would be more like, say, something vintage, or something that's, how would they say, more like on a vintage end. You see it, you may cut it apart.
Right. It doesn't even have to be vintage. I could buy a Bape shirt tomorrow and feel like I want to do something with that.
Also, just okay.
Upcycling is just you're just repurposing an existing garment and turning it into something a little more, either a little more your own, or a little more of making it a little more unique than what it already was. And Sean Witherspoon is like upcycle king. Like Sean Witherspoon, he takes already existing garments and does his own thing to it, does his own spins on it, and that's really what the most of the upcycling community does. Already existing things. Sometimes, you know, you go to like thrift shops and source shit, but you know, for the most part, it's really just, you know, applying your own vision to something that already exists.
How do you feel about the state of fashion today? More specifically, streetwear fashion.
I don't even like the term streetwear, low key. It's really just comfortable clothes that people just made more out of it. A lot of that stemmed from like skateboarding and like, you know, niggas in hip hop was dressing and stuff like that. Like, even like it's I don't know. I'm not huge on it. I'm not like super hyped on the state of like streetwear these days. Like, I kind of just watch it for what it is. Like, I'm not really hyped on like Ame Londor. I'm not really hyped on like Kith. I don't really buy a lot of their stuff. Like, the only Kith item I own is like, because I also work for Nike, I have the Nike Kith t-shirt. Like, that's about it. But I don't, like, a lot of brands don't really excite me because everybody's kind of doing the same shit. And everybody's brand is kind of just like for the explore page on IG. Nobody's really like, everybody just shop off IG. It's not really like, it's nothing unique about it. Like, everything at Denver, like, shout out to Denver, but like everything they doing at Balenciaga is like expensive skateboarding clothing. You know what I'm saying? And like, skaters only dress how skaters dress because like we needed comfortable clothes that, you know, gave you the elasticity in the room to do tricks and jump down steps and jump over stuff, and you know, it just became a fashion statement. And like, everybody dressing with baggy clothes and stuff now. It's just everybody just dressing like Josh Kalish in 2001. Like, everything is just a repeat of itself. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like while everybody else is changing, I feel like skaters have maintained the same. Like, yeah, I feel like mid 2000s, like early 2010s, everybody was dressing mad fitted as far as like skaters. Like, everybody was dressing a certain way, and then that broke out, and then like everybody just got back to baggy. I have friends that own brands like, you know, my boy Jamal, he owns Western Elders. My boy Hefe, my boy Barter own Barriers. You know, I have my boy Mark who owns Open Bar Funeral. Like, I try to buy from my friends' brands at this point, or like whatever blessings they throw my way if that's the case. But for most, I just buy from their brands because I don't really like, the only brand I really commit to outside of local hoops is like Cactus Plant Flea Market. You know what I'm saying? And I just like that because Cactus Plant just kind of like, it caters to like a part of me. So like, I really like that. And then like with local hoops, at least with local hoops, like we're doing more. We're aiming for like community-based stuff. We're doing things like I literally single-handedly watch the connections be made in this building, watch the things that happen in here, and I can stand behind that. So like I have no problem wearing it because like it's not just a brand, it's not just something, you know, I'm wearing because I work here. Like I really like stand behind what we do here.
Yeah. All right. The reason why I asked that question is, you know, it's good to get different perspectives
Right.
from what people think about streetwear.
Right.
You know, there's a lot of misunderstandings when it comes to streetwear, and I think it's important for a lot of designers or up-and-coming creatives to understand the differences so they don't get trapped when designing their own clothing. You know, so that's why I asked that question.
I feel like if you're doing your own brand, it gotta reflect something. You gotta, your brand gotta stand for something. You gotta be doing something. Everybody wanna be a part of something, but it's like it's getting hard to be a part of something because everybody's a part of everything. So it's like you gotta do things that kind of set you apart. But like you gotta do things that's just bigger than the clothes. Like a lot of the stuff you do should just be stuff that you do, and then you have a merch attached to it.
Exactly.
Like, you know what I'm saying? If you're doing like a fucking food drive or doing like, you know, something with the kids or something, if you got merch to attach to it, it becomes a whole other situation. Then it's like, all right, like people feel like they were a part of something, as opposed to, you know, Supreme does a drop and they just do a drop and then that's just what it is. But, you know, Supreme has created its own thing, so it's easier to like sell that. But like when you're your own brand trying to do a thing, there's a lot more to it. You can't just make a shirt and think people are gonna buy it.
Yeah.
You gotta stand behind something, gotta stand for something. It gotta be giving people some type of knowledge. It has to be something like, you know, me and my cousin created a brand called Cetaceans, which is, you know, the scientific term for whales. And, you know, we designed the first shirt for that, and it had like facts about whales in the back of it. And the front of the shirt, like the shirt catered to like, you know, streetwear, but it also catered to, you know, teaching people about marine biology. So like there's an edge to it. So you know what I'm saying? So like it's things like that, you know, I can stand by. You know, like, you know, how, you know, bartering them with barriers, you know, my boy Jamal with Western Elders, my boy Steve with 2020 Collections. Like, you know, all these are black artists that are like working in these spaces, trying to like push certain agendas and teach people and show people sides of, you know, black culture, sides of like they try to do educational streetwear. Yeah. And I can stand behind.
That's dope, bro. That's dope. Yeah. That's real fire right there. That whole well, I like that.
That was a
real. I don't think I seen anything like
that.
that.
Yeah, and that's super unique to him because my cousin's rap name is Dro the Whale, and he focuses is like, you know, he's been in streetwear as long as I have, you know, as far as like copping certain pieces, like copping Bape since we was 16 type shit. You know what I'm saying? So like the things he's doing, I can stand behind because, you know, not only is it like great quality clothing, but it's also like teaching something.
Yeah, exactly.
So I can stand behind that.
Clothing should have always a meaning to it, and the people that wear it because it represents them.
I mean, like a lot of people wear Bape and Supreme and all type of shit and have no idea what they're wearing. They just wear it because they know the name. Yeah. Like I used to rock Bape because I have a thing for Japanese street fashion. I have a thing for Nigo. I have a thing for the culture and community that Nigo built out of Japan. You know what I'm saying? Like there was things about that I could like attach myself to, so that's why I was rocking it. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? I was hyped on Dave's Quality Meats because DQMs was just like was everything to me. You know what I'm saying? And my friends used to work at that shop, and like I was just a part of something with that. Like I was like that's early New York skateboarding. You know what I'm saying? Like that kind of shit meant a lot to me. So like if I can stand behind it and I can like there's things I can like be proud of when wearing it, I'm all for it.
That's what's up, man. With all of that being said, I want to get into a little bit more about the garments that are inside the store. I guess you'll give me like a view of, not everything, but some of the pieces that are in here. The question I have is, are a lot of these garments cut and sew? Like, do they outsource or do they get cut and sew garments?
So we just started getting into cut and sew this season. We kind of started earlier in the fall with a couple sweaters that we had that got designed and we put out. The cut and sew stuff is just trying to show people like another edge of us because like we're really known for like our shorts, our t-shirts, like a lot of our like, you know, more basketball, you know, related things. But then like we also try to show people the edge of like the cut and sewn, showing that we know we actually care about this clothing stuff and we're not just like a sports related brand that we can do like, you know, some classy stuff. Like we can fit you out and have you ready for a date. You know, it's not all about you just dressing cool for the summer. Like we got you for the winter too. You know what I'm saying? Like we're trying to cover all seasons. So a lot of the stuff was like DTG. A lot of it was just like screen printed. A lot of screen prints, couple DTGs, but mostly screen prints of graphics, like really fire graphics. And then we started, and when I got involved into the brand, then we started getting into like, we had just started getting into like embroideries and stuff. Like our embroideries is where like I love, like that's really where like my fetish kicks in. Like I have a embroidery fetish. I will go nuts for some good embroidery. So like, you know, we were doing a lot of that with a lot of the hoodies and stuff, and that started like really popping off, and that's starting to expand. And then we got into the cut and sew. We got into like the chain knit sweater. You know what I'm saying? We got into like a lot of different like fleece options and stuff for the winter. So like that stuff's been cool. It's been, you know, doing its thing. We're working on, you know, better marketing practices to like put that stuff out more.
What mistakes do you think a lot of, you know, up and coming new designers who are just trying to get in the field of designing or just building their own brand, what do you think are some of the mistakes they make in the early beginnings?
Personally, I feel like a lot of people try to do it by themselves. That's it. Like I have like other details, like I've seen, like for example, you're not the first person that's coming in here like talking about their own like ideas and showing things off, but at least like you're putting your stuff on like really cool clothes. Like you show something that a lot of other cats aren't showing. So like I seen these couple cats that came in and like showed me their designs, and like it's cool, but like sometimes like no one thinks about who they're selling it to, and they're just pushing a lot of like things that they like, and like a lot of what people like may not be what other people like. So it's like finding a middle ground of like you and the people. Things that you like, things that you want to see, but also what are the people into? And I feel like there's a disconnect there, and people like really just push the stuff that they like and stuff, and a lot of that is just doesn't translate. But also, like, I think that's just early brand shit that just happens. But I think people try to take that stuff on their own, and that's where they go wrong, because you can't do this on your own.
That's true.
You know what I'm saying? Like us here at Local Hoops, we're very small. We're a small team, but everybody plays a part. But you can't. There's like even before I got here, I knew that I seen that there were things missing, and then when I got in and started doing my job here, then I was like, oh, okay, I see where I'm filling in the blanks now. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm learning my position in here, but a lot of people try to do things on their own, and that's not how it works, to be honest. Because like I'm from the hood, and I've watched a bunch of niggas make a bunch of brands. Like niggas trying to make, you from the hood, you have like cats making those brands like Rugged Royalty and like things that are like really reflective on where they from, but it's like you're thinking too small. You're thinking for you and your friends, not, you know what I'm saying? But like it's like in some brands it's good to think like that, but that really depends. Like when you think you and your friends, then you and your friends should get together and do a thing, not you thinking for your friends.
Exactly.
Like how when Virgil and Matthew Williams and A-Side and like not A-Side, Virgil, Matthew Williams, I forgot the third, and Heron came together and did like Ben Trill.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? They did like Pyrex Vision and stuff. You know how Tremaine Emery and A-Side came together and did No Vacancy In. Like, come together with people and do a thing. Don't just do a thing on your own, because like you'll get stressed out. It'll burn you out, and then you won't, unless you have a very unique style of what you're doing, or you have a very unique into the industry, or like very specific, like super exaggerated, but like if you're an up-and-coming designer, you just so happen to know like Cynthia Lau from CPFM, you know what I'm saying? That's an in already, so that you just gotta build around that. But if you're just some cat from the hood and you're trying to figure it out, you gotta put a little more time. Like there's a little more details that need to be put into it so that you can reach a certain kind of audience. Because then if that, you'll just be selling in your building all day.
As a creative
consumer.
What advice would you give to up-and-coming designers / creatives?
Keep going. That's it. Just keep going. Persistence is key. Life does not happen based on the plans you make. You just kind of make an outline and just do stuff. And then just keep doing a bunch of shit to then circle your resources back into what you want to do. but just keep going. Like, try not to get burnt out and just keep doing it. If you keep some type of ambition, you know what I'm saying? That's all you really need, because the ambition will lead you down mad paths. It may not be the path you thought you was gonna take, but it's gonna take you somewhere. Like, everything we do is not like everything we do is a big maybe, and you just gotta just stick with something and do things and just see how it plays out. That's all you really can do. Nothing really nothing really happens. It's just nothing really happens by force. It's just you gotta just like be persistent. Like, you can't like. It's hard. It's hard to be unique in New York City. It's hard to be unique, but it's not hard at the same time. It's just a matter of being like the best form of yourself. So I feel like I could say learn yourself and just be persistent, because then that'll kind of bring you a lot of answers that you'll need. Because if you don't know yourself, then you ain't gonna get nowhere. So if at least if you learn more about yourself, you can apply that to what you're working on, whether you're making clothes, you're making movies, whatever you're doing. Like, learn yourself, and that'll help you cut out the bullshit, and you'll be able to know what you need and what you don't need for whatever it is you're doing. So just keep going.
I appreciate that, Creator. That's some dope advice right there.
Word.
Thank you so much. That will conclude this interview. Once again, Juice, appreciate you, my brother.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate y'all.
Thanks for having me here. Local Hoops.
Come see us. Come on now, 325 Canal Street, 11 to 7 every day.
All I have to give them all your information, everything, where they can find you.
Well, you can find us local_hoops. That's on Instagram at local_hoops. You can find me at Lemmygetter, LEMMEGETU 4 H's. Follow me.
All right, fellas. Thanks again.
Anytime.